why ain't nobody talking about how hard it is to heal while still having to parent kids? Listen, this is a big one. So what I find myself running into is the fact that I'm constantly trying to regulate my nervous system, but then my grandson is constantly begging for something to drink. Like, you got to know him, you got to love him, but he's a little thirsty little joker. But what I'm saying, is, a lot of people are not talking about, you still having to parent your kids. You still got to take care of them. You still got to bathe them. You still got to feed them. Make sure they got clothes, all of this good stuff. And then you are in your healing process. So just because you are healing, that does not mean that parenting is put on hold. That does not mean that you are allowed to say, well, hey, I'm going to deal with them kids later because I'm doing this now. No, we need to normalize being able to heal, being able to regulate our nervous systems, and also being able to be the best version of ourselves for our children, for the children that we are raising. And that's what this video is about today, because I don't see a whole lot of people talking about it, but I feel like it is so important. And the reason I feel like it is important, especially when it comes to my life, because all of my children are grown and they are out of the house. So I had an empty nest for a while, but now my grandson is here and I'm having to go back to that phase of, okay, all this free time that I had, I no longer had. All of this energy that I had to put into my hobbies or into the things that I enjoy doing, I just don't have all of that free time and energy. So, I had to sit with myself and say, okay, how do I fix this? How do I continue to heal? How do I continue to be the best version of me? How do I continue to motivate myself and make sure that my mindset is in the right space, and also be able to be there for my grandson? So if you are going through something like this, if you are in your healing phase and yet you are out here raising kids, out here being mom, out here having this whole big task of responsibilities that you have to do on a daily basis, then this video is for you. Because a lot of times when we are in that healing phase, we kind of want to retreat. We want to get into those moments where we just kind of disconnect from the world and disconnect from everything else. But when you have children that you are raising and that you're caring for, that's not an option all the time. And I know the biggest issue for me is feeling guilty. I began to feel guilty about wanting some space, and I began to feel guilty about wanting to do my own thing. I began to feel guilty about wanting to put my funds into the things that I want to do, when in actuality I've got to do something for my grandson. I do feel guilty about those things. And if you are someone who also feels guilty about healing and regulating while also parenting kids, feeling guilty about the little things where you want to pour into yourself but you're not quite able to, don't feel guilty about that. You are human. We are human. That's nothing to feel guilty about. Instead, look at it from the perspective of, okay, if I don't do this for this kid, who's going to do it? So look at it as in you are giving to them, you are pouring into them, not necessarily that you are taking from yourself, or that you are in lack because you're not able to do the things that you want to do. Even if it's just when you get off work, you want to take you a shower and you want to lay down and rub your feet together while you watch your favorite show. You may not have that opportunity to do those things, because when you get home, maybe as soon as you get home, your kids get home and you just got off work and you are tired and you're exhausted, but dinner's got to be made, clothes got to be washed, kids got to be helped with homework, you've got hair to do, you just got all of these things to do. And this is not even including the other responsibilities that you have, bills and spouses and friends and family that depend on you. So Don't feel guilty about wanting to pour into yourself and not really being able to. Just look at it as, like I say, you are pouring into this child. And a lot of times when you are feeling guilty, it is ways to combat that. Like I say, you can look at it as in you are pouring into this child, but also, you can just reframe that thing. If you are, let's say you done been a little snappy lately and you just done yelled at this kid just because they keep asking for a snack. Every 5 minutes they asking you for a snack, and you just at your wit's end, and you just you blow up. And there are ways to reframe that. So what do? First of all, you can apologize to the kid. Now, I know a lot of us, I grew up in the 80s. I'm an 80s baby. So a lot of us, we grew up where, your parents, if they did something that slighted you or made you feel the way, guess what? You never got a darn apology. Like, you just didn't. Another thing that you can do is a quick reconnect. So what I mean by this is, maybe you haven't been paying the kid much attention because you are exhausted and you're tired. You work a lot of hours. You got a lot going on at home. You got a lot going on in your relationship. So you just have not been giving them, the attention that they may need. So you just reconnect with them. Okay, let's sit down. Let's grab us a coloring book and you sit and you color with them. That's going to bring that kid so much joy. And that is also going to help you along your healing process as far as regulating those emotions, regulating that nervous system, because you're going to get into this coloring book and you're going to forget all about your troubles, and you're going to look over and see your kid smiling and happy because why? Mom is sitting here coloring with me and y'all are reconnecting, and that's just a beautiful thing. There are ways to turn it around. So don't feel guilty. My whole point is don't feel guilty about snapping. Don't feel guilty about being short patient. Don't feel guilty about not having the time or the energy to pour into your children like you want to, because at the end of the day, you are human. You are allowed to make mistakes. Just don't beat yourself up about the mistakes that you feel like you are making. Another thing that people aren't talking about is how we can also heal with our children, how we can also heal and teach them how to heal and use them to help us heal. And so what I mean by this is, okay, so let's just say, things have been tough and you have not been processing things correctly. You have been short patient. You have been, not wanting to deal with the kids. Go to your room, close the door. You're just not wanting to be bothered. Let's say you have been in that space, but you are wanting to come out of it. And the way that you can do that is to invite the kid in and say, hey, come on. Let's sit down here and we're going to meditate together. You teach your child about meditation and you meditate and you heal while connecting with your child. You two are bonding and healing together. Or let's say, you've, again, been short patient. The kid asked for a little snack and you done blew all the way up, done knocked everything off the table, just done had this whole elaborate breakdown. Well, you can come back from that. Again, there's nothing wrong with you as the parent apologizing to your child. You come back with that apology. Well, listen, I'm sorry. I was yelling a little while ago, but now here I am. I'm calm. I've collected myself, and I want to apologize to you. I'm sorry for how I made you feel, and guess what? Just you coming back with that calm tone, with that more relaxed energy is going to relax that kid. And in turn, they're going to appreciate that so much. Of course, they're not going to say it, but you may see a little smile creep on their face because it feels them, and they really will appreciate that action coming from you. It may seem small, but it is a big thing. It is going to help with your healing process, and it is also going to help this kid kind of regulate their own emotions and regulate, their own systems and say, hey, maybe I need to calm down too. But I feel like there are a lot of ways that you can ground yourself, that you can regulate yourself when you are healing and also raising kids, because it is stressful. There are books out there to tell you how to do it, but in actuality, you just got to get out there in the field and you just got to do it. And it is stressful sometimes. I know because I raised 5 children. So I'm talking about something that I have experienced, but as I was experiencing it, y'all listen, I'm from South Georgia, my tongue kind of heavy, I don't know, it's just certain words I can't say, but y'all bear with me. But as I was experiencing it when my children were younger, I didn't know how to regulate. I stayed in that energy of, oh, I'm stressed. Oh, I never have a moment to myself. I just need a break. I don't want to be bothered. I was in that energy. I did not know how to regulate. But as I have grown and matured as a person, as I have been healing certain parts of me, I now know how to regulate. And one of the ways to regulate those emotions, or one of the ways to regulate that nervous system when you are healing and also dealing just with the trauma, okay, y'all, I ain't mean to say trauma, just with the drama of raising children, with this big grand responsibility of raising children. I don't know why the heck I said trauma, because it's not traumatic. It's a very beautiful thing. It really is. But you are in this space of healing, but also trying to regulate your nervous system while also being busy, while also having these responsibilities and having these kids that depend on you. The one thing that I have found, this is especially recently, one thing that I have found that helps more than anything on regulating that nervous system when you have blown up or lost your patience, or if you're feeling guilty because you can't pour into the child like you want to, one thing is grounding through touch. So for me, I'm just going to give you an example because this is what I've experienced. For me, when it comes to my grandson, if I have been a little short patient with him and, I want to reconnect with him and let him know I am sorry, I will let him know, listen, I'm sorry, I apologize. And then I'll give him a hug, I'll give him a high five, I'll play with his hair or something like that. And before you know it, the energy done switched up. He's smiling and he's happy, and I'm smiling and I'm happy. And guess what? My nervous system is feeling very relaxed and very clean and clear. I'm not so worked up. So I think grounding through touch is a very, very big one. Another one is just taking a minute to just take a breath, take a pause, a micro pause, because as you know, children, their attention span is very short. They're not finna give you no 5 or 10 minutes to do no breathing and getting it together. No, you got about 2 to 5 seconds to take a moment, take a pause, take a breath, relax that nervous system, and then continue to interact with that child. And for me, not necessarily with my grandson, but back in the day with those kids, this is something that I learned early on. Hey girl, look, woosah, yes, because children will put you in that mode. Children will, there's that meme when the girl is snatching at her hair. Listen, they will have you feeling like you about to pull all your hair out, especially when you got multiple kids. Listen, imagine, y'all, I got 5 kids, and all of my children were teenagers at the same time. So I had a house full of teenagers at one point. Boy, did this technique helped me. It did, because there was a lot of those moments, if you got girls, then they just be having attitudes for no reason in the world sometimes. Like, they wake up with an attitude, you can't even look at them, and they rolling their eyes and stomping and doing all this craziness. So if you got girls, you know what I mean. But in dealing with that, it was a lot of moments where I had to gather myself. I really had to gather myself. I really had to get my emotions in check. So that pause, it really helps. Also counting to 10. Like 10, that may take a little more than 5 seconds, but still just taking that deep breath and you counting to 10. By the time you get to 10, trust me, you're going to be in a whole different headspace and your nervous system will be more calm. Another thing that you can do when you are trying to regulate your nervous system while raising kids, like I say, if you lose your patience or something like that, you can do your hand on your heart. Now, this one is a big one, and it works really, really fast. And all you simply do is you take your breath, you put that hand on that heart, and you just breathe into it. You just breathe into it, and you just feel that energy. You just breathe into it, and before long, you are feeling grounded, you are feeling refreshed, and now you're able to face this kid with calmness because you've taken that moment with that hand on that heart to regulate your nervous system. Now listen, I know this is a lot that I have gone over today, and if it's just going over your head, I do apologize. This just ain't for you. But if you out here raising kids, healing, trying to be your best self, trying to put your best foot forward while also trying to be the best mother that you can for these kids while also trying to heal, listen, this message is specifically for you. I want you to know we are here to support each other. I'm here to support you. I want you to know I done been there and done that. So girl, you can do it too. The last thing I want you to take away from this video is that, you are not failing. You're just human. You're not failing. You're just evolving. You are just becoming a better version of you. So with that being said, I want to normalize doing it messy, healing messy. Healing ain't always pretty. Healing ain't always aesthetic. Healing ain't always this quick process. It is an ongoing process. You are not failing. You are evolving. So take it easy on yourself. I also want to normalize, having those moments where you just break down. It is okay to go into your bathroom and cry. When it comes to raising kids, it is a lot and it is tough. And for some of us, it gets to be a little too much for us to handle. So when I'm talking about taking a pause and taking a break, if that for you is, hey, let me go in this bathroom and cry it out before I explode, guess what? It is okay. Go in the bathroom, have your cry. Matter of fact, while you at it, go on and get in the shower so you can get that up off you. So when you come out of that bathroom, you are clean, you are new, and you are in that new head space. The final thing that I want you to normalize is let's just normalize not giving up and just trying it again tomorrow. Simple as that. Not giving up. Let's normalize we'll do this thing again tomorrow, because today was a little much for us. Today was a little much for me, and I didn't respond and I didn't react in that way that I wanted to, but guess what? I can try it again tomorrow. Don't give up, because one thing, growth and healing, it is not something that is easy to do. And it is something that some days it's going to be great. It's going to just kind of flow by and it's going to seem like, oh, shoot, I got this in the bag. But then other days, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not doing this right. I'm failing. I'm not where I want to be. Listen, in those moments, that is when you continue on. In those moments, that's where you just, what? Let me just take a break. Let me step back from this situation for a moment and let me gather myself. Let me get myself together. All right, y'all, listen, I have enjoyed making this video, and the reason I decided to make this video, because like I say, I am on this healing journey. It's a continuous journey. If somebody will tell you they all the way here, child, please, they telling you a lie, and I hate to be the one to tell you, but healing is a continuous journey. Healing is an ongoing journey, and as I am in this healing phase of my life and also dealing with a little one all over again, I have found myself to be really, really worked up to the point to where I'm like, hey, listen, I got to step out of this survival mode because my body can't take it. I got a headache and I'm all fidgety. I can't relax. I can't do this, and I'm not able to pour into my grandson like I want to. Listen, I know when I need to take a step back and just relax, calm down my nervous system so I can be the best Gigi for him. And I want to say to you, if you out here doing this thing and you feel like you don't know what you're doing, you don't know if you're going, you don't know if you're coming, you don't have the support, the tools, you don't know who to talk to, you don't even know how to get started. All you know is you about this close to breaking. You about this close to flipping that table over, and saying, man, them kids, you about ready to flip that table over. Listen, girl, don't flip the table over. Don't flip the table over. You got support. You got help out there. So, thank y'all for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the video, like, comment, and share.